DC or Marvel?
Do I answer this just without you qualifying it, or can I ask you to qualify
Let me qualify it. DC, Dane Cook, or Marvel, my friend Jerry Marvel?
I'll go Jerry Marvel. I don't know who Jerry Marvel is.
Last night I journeyed backwards in time to the medieval world of Dark Tower.
Where's my snare? I don't understand what's going on. Where's my snare? Welcome to the show. Welcome to I Don't Understand, the show about...
It has a completeness to it. When I'm finished with a story, whether it's a spirit story or a book or a graphic novel, there's a completeness to it that satisfies me.
Superman died Wednesday.
Were you pissed when they killed Superman?
I feel like a lot of comic fans have a similar journey where they take breaks from comics and then come back. I sort of observed the phenomenon from a distance, and then when I came back to it, I could appreciate the storytelling of it.
I'm with the acclaimed writer. How would you like to be credited? Acclaimed? My guest today is Milton Lawson. Milton, breaking the law, breaking the Lawson. Who sings that? Daniel, who sings that song?
Priest, right? Oh, I should have.
No, you talk, you talk. No, please help me, save me. This is not one of those shows where you have to wait to talk. Talk the whole time. The author, Milton Lawson, author of Orson Welles' Warrior of the Worlds. Warrior of the Worlds. It is a fun sci-fi, epic, globe-trotting, time-hopping, biological, terraforming terror.
I wish we could do a second printing so we could put that on the back of the book.
It's like 15 Ender's Games, 25 Starship Troopers, and Henry V, and that's all in the first 20 pages.
He shoots movies during the day, shoots aliens at night.
That rules. That's awesome. Thank you for coming up with that. It's awesome. That didn't exist. Milton made that up. He came up with that, and now I have that in my head. And I love that. I love thinking about that. You are a writer, sir.
Damned interesting work, I'd imagine.
Yes.
Damn difficult, I'd imagine.
Where do you come up with all this stuff?
How goes the life of the mind?
Well... Influences.
Let's start by looking at the city of the future.
I went with some of the hard sci-fi guys like Arthur C. Clarke.
Visualizing the future as it really will happen.
I was big time into astronomy and physics.
A world in which we can be in instant contact with each other wherever we may be.
Why was that a good idea? When did you start making comics?
About 14 or 15 years ago.
What are your favorite comics?
Transmetropolitan. I loved the cyberpunks.
Yeah.
The Nobel Prize for Literature is overdue for the cyberpunks. They prophesized the world we're living in now. Everything we live in right now feels like it's from a cyberpunk novel.
Do they predict that, or do the people in the world just go like, we're creating the future based on that shit we read in the 80s? Because we can't think of anything else.
You know, it's a little bit of both, I guess, because Zuckerberg wanted to, name the metaverse off of the Neil Stephenson book. Let's do a shitty version of this.
See, this is when nerd culture, I'm way into all this, but nerd culture can go very terribly awry. Ten years ago, nerd culture took over. Somewhere around 2011 or 2012, I feel like nerd culture really was on the forefront.
We call it the nerd flu at G4.
You had guys like Joss Whedon, Chris Hardwick, and Neil Gaiman. Remember these names?
That's right. America wants to see these legs.
Oh, I remember the names.
Before there were arrests and executions, before we publicly arrested and executed Joss Whedon at The Hague. I can't tell. What's going on with this? Is that a shirt, or is that just his orange body?
I'm Chris Hardwick. Let's throw it to someone else who's going to do another thing.
It's cool to be an era. Like, we are. Joss Whedon's going to get to make the biggest movie of all time. Chris Hardwick's going to get to host the biggest, every show in the world and talk about nerd stuff. Neil Gaiman gets to make every insane thought he has into a brilliant book. Now here's 10 years later.
Yes.
And they are all pieces of shit.
Apparently so.
According to all the accusations, I worry about guys like, obviously, if things like this happen where like people are given this power and they do horrible things with it. And it sucked that it happened.
So listen here, you dandified git. Just who the hell do you think you are?
Alan Moore doing Swamp Thing.
Love it.
Is that one of the best things ever, or am I a basic bitch for that?
No, it is one of the best things ever. And it's not only one of the best things ever, it's one of those things that every time I return to it and some of my friends return to it, it's one of those things as a writer you look at and you be like, what am I even doing? I'm never even going to touch this. Why are we even, we're just playing in this dude's world.
That is so accurate. And as a writer, it feels a little annoying. Do you get annoyed at Alan Moore? You're like, oh, come on, man. Why are you so good at it?
I try to like shift it into inspiration, and a lot of times I can.
Because Alan Moore is such just like, when he did Swamp Thing, that was fucking awesome. Brilliant.
You put these people on a pedestal and you're like, that's just totally unachievable.
But you know, yes, Alan Moore is a great writer, but he also wears all those rings.
All of the streets had names like Moat Place or Fort Street or Dungeon Alley or whatever.
The two-parter that ended the original Superman canon, they got Alan Moore to write what would be the end of the original.
Is that Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow?
Whatever Happened to the Man, and he did it in 2 issues. Yeah. And in 2 issues, he wrapped up the entire Superman mythology in such a satisfying and perfect way. It's just one of those just staggering works of accomplishment.
Television, movies, comics, rock and roll records. That is the main way that kids sort of soak up all this info.
Frank Herbert, Dune or do not?
I wouldn't count him as an influence because I didn't read Dune until very late in life, but I did admire it.
Dune not. I like Isaac Asimov. I like him because his name sounds like he's a robot. He sounds like he's a robot. Isaac Asimov. Fuck.
I am the Isaac Model 3000, and I live to serve. Slave. Robot is short for Robotnik, which is Swedish for slave.
He sounds like he's a robot. Isaac Asimov. Fuck.
I enjoy it. You know, why not?
Aldous Huxtable. Aldous Huxley. Aldous Huxtable. Okay, Aldous Huxley.
I would say, like in the long view of my biography, I would be much more of a sci-fi person because, you know, I saw the original Star Wars in the theater.
Oh, wow.
At age 6 or so. Blew me away. Yeah. It was amazing.
Is it good? I haven't seen it. Is that good? What's that one about?
Let's look up the Rotten Tomato score. Let's see where it's at.
Yeah. Is it good on IMDb?
Yeah.
What's it? Who directed it?
I don't know. And then
the THX guy?
Yes.
Oh, no. Right. THX, I'm not a fan.
Stay out of things you don't understand, right?
In addition to getting me interested in science fiction, back before the internet, back before DVD extras, they would put specials on PBS showing some of the making of special effects features.
We didn't even have access to what then was a normal echo chamber.
God only knows what a guy with these ears considers to be a normal-sized echo chamber. But they didn't have one. And God bless this man. And God forgive me. Is God real?
And you had never seen anything like that before. And it just blew my mind because as a kid, you go in and you watch this thing and it's just like, this is this world. It just exists. It's a thing. And then you start to learn that, oh, wait a minute, there are people that make this thing. And so I watched those documentaries and everything. So I became very interested in the process of making movies.
How hard is writing? Writing is hard. Isn't writing hard?
Well, yeah, all writing is hard for sure.
From Shakespeare to now.
In the earliest days, I was just all on my own, and I started writing scripts, and they were terrible. And they had good ideas and intention behind them, but they were overstuffed. They weren't properly targeted for the comics medium. Like I would make rookie mistakes, like I would write a description of a panel, and there would be multiple actions going on, but one panel is like one freeze frame in time. So you really can't even do that. So after a couple of years of struggling that way, I joined a writing workshop called the Comics Experience Workshop.
Was this like this was like a group?
Yeah.
Like of writers?
Yes, writers and artists, but mostly writers.
It sounds like communism. This is what they were worried about. Tell me about this group of writers. Go on.
I work for the committee here. They know how we go about handling situations of communist infiltration.
I learned a lot from that process.
Yeah, whatever. I wonder if Milton could tell I'm jacking McCarthy off under the table. Yeah, I like it. We're all secretly gay. Don't tell anyone. These fucking guys talking about who's gonna be American. I'm gonna tell you this. Anyone who wants to be a fucking American could be a fucking American.
How do you come up with these like sci-fi words? You are a sci-fi writer. You have to come up with these sci-fi words, and some of them I can't pronounce. How do you come up with them?
You know, that's my fault. And some of them I probably can't even pronounce.
Hold on. What is the name of the otter detective? I want you to say it.
The Otter Detective?
That detective who's an otter. Yeah.
I was in Cranston Guildenstern.
No, what are their real names?
His real name. There's no way I can say that.
Okay, I wondered.
I intentionally made it unpronounceable.
See, this is what happens. A lot of times when I'm reading sci-fi books, I'll be like, this is the hardest word ever. I don't know if I could read this word. And I always wonder, do these sci-fi writers, when they're coming up with these words, they go like, Sam's going to be pissed when he has to read this one? Or do they, or in your head, you're like, no, Glorica Georgian is a very normal name and you should be able to read it. So that was a bit. You were doing a bit on me on that one.
A little bit of a bit.
The name is like 500 letters long.
You got a problem with me, man? I'm really interested in helping you sort it.
What came first? I want to make a sci-fi globetrotting epic, or I want to make an Orson Welles book?
I usually remember like the two synthesis points for almost all of my other comics, but for this one, it was just sort of inevitable because I'm such a sci-fi fan and I'm such an Orson Welles fan. It just sort of appeared.
How collaborative is it with the artist? Like when you say like the moon of Zorbador and like the 10 rings of blah blah, or not blah blah, that's really disrespectful. You have actually interesting things
No,
I don't want to do that.
In the first draft, it might actually be that,
I know, but look at these splash pages. Is this what that's called? A splash page?
Yes.
Look how beautiful this is. This guy, but does your artist go like, oh God, you make him do some pretty impossible things. He's pretty brilliant here.
Yeah, I was extremely fortunate to work with Eric.
So the artist, Eric Whalen, Whalen Yutani, sci-fi. You choose each page like this is gonna be how many panels? When does the panels come into your head? And this page is 6 panels, this page is 1 big panel. How does that process happen for a comic book writer?
The more experience you get, the more you get a feel for like how much you can fit in a given unit, like an issue, like an arc, like a page, like a panel. I'll bullet point out all the stuff I want to happen, and then I'll write down like, okay, these 3 bullet points I can do in like 1 page. This one's going to take 3 pages. This feels like it needs to be 4 panels. Panel 1, guy does the thing. Panel 2, guy says the F word, and it's just the minimal amount of detail I need so that I know the next time I come back to this and then I actually really write the final version or multiple drafts of it, that's the first kernel of it.
Does the artist ever say something like, hey, I could actually knock this out in 3 panels if I actually, is that a part of it?
Usually it tends to work better when they actually want to add a panel versus want to subtract one. But usually if they want to clarify something or add another beat or focus on something, that tends to work even better.
That's why I'm not an artist, because I would be like the laziest artist. I'd be like, can we just do this in 1 panel? Just 1 big panel, his face, just a close-up of his stick figure face.
What is this guy saying? I mean, the eyes tell you enough. I'm telling you, they tell you enough.
I want to talk about that process from it being a thought in your head to it being something I'm holding in my hand. Take me through that journey, because that's something that is pretty cool. What you doing over there? Carter's doing a Mystery Science Theater of this show. He's like, this guy sucks at interviewing. It's valid.
Tonight, on the season finale of Men in Glasses Wearing Hats.
So how does this idea
I don't like it.
go from this idea?
What's going on over there?
You know what I don't understand? Why anyone would want to watch this show.
It stinks. It stinks. It stinks.
One of the things you have to look out for, if you've got multiple characters in a panel and there's some dialogue back and forth, you need to make sure that the left to right positioning of the characters is done so that the person who speaks first is on the left and the person who speaks second is on the right. And sometimes that fundamentally obvious thing still gets lost a few times.
And I'm the guy you're worrying about, because I'm the guy who's like, oh wait, where did that bubble go? Like I have to make sure. Oh, she says this before this. I am the guy you need to worry about. I'm like, wait, does this panel go here or here? Your book was very easy to follow, and very a dumb man reviews a book. This was very easy to follow. No, it's very beautiful and it's very inviting. It's very engaging. We're in this like black and white Art Deco world of Orson Welles. I love that Art Deco world. They're like 1940s, 1930s, black and white. That's very cozy to me for some reason.
You know, I grew up kind of viewing, as a kid, viewing black and white as like just artifacts from an older era.
Devil on the canvas, 12 apple, take one.
And then when I got older, I began to see a few classics, and then you experience something like the Maltese Falcon. And you go, oh my God.
Miles hadn't many brains, but he'd had too many years' experience as a detective to be caught like that by a man he was shadowing up a blind alley with his gun in his hip and his overcoat buttoned.
Orson Welles was saying, and to me the other day, he was saying that there is no true great performance in color. Performances on film can only be great in black and white because black and white has less distractions. There is a purity with black and white that you are so focused on the performance of the face of the actor that you're not focused on anything else, so that he says the greatest performances can only be in black and white. But he had strong and hard opinions about a lot of insane things.
Right.
So maybe he's not right. There's a lot of good, I don't know what he's talking about. Orson Welles was awesome because he would just say things. Was one of the early ideas, what if that War of the Worlds broadcast was real? Is that like how this idea starts?
Yeah.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
Mercury Theater, Orson Welles. He was a radio man in New York. I used to really judge those fools who got scared of the War of the Worlds broadcast harshly. I thought they were lunatics.
What's this guy just picking his nose? Oh, that is unfortunate. He probably didn't understand that this would be forever. Now he's picking his nose forever. I mean, it's gross. I don't want to look at this.
But now I kind of put myself back in their position, in their shoes.
What's this guy doing? What's he reaching for? An 80-year-old Austin Butler. And then the face reveal, and it's a face you've never seen before. It's a face that only existed in the 30s. Like, his mouths don't go that way anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, the director of the Mercury Theater and star of these broadcasts, Orson Welles.
And you're just here, you turn on a radio you turn on the radio, and there's a guy being like, there's a...
Kind of like a 4th of July rocket.
Yes, then what?
I turned my head out the window and would have sworn I was asleep and dreaming.
Yes?
And it's the 30s, and we don't have the internet. You gotta remember, they didn't have the internet.
The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial. Not found on this Earth.
You think they might have had the internet, they could have been like, they didn't.
Yeah.
They don't have the internet for years. So these people are just stuck in their car with this information.
Yeah.
I don't blame them for being going crazy.
And I tell you what, I think we're going to experience something very similar to it with the rise of AI.
Parents have already been falling for this. So yes, perhaps it's that also. Like Orson Welles was also this brilliant guy. What was that thing where he was just like trying to apologize and they were like that radio show or that interview and he was trying to apologize? Yeah. What was going on there? They were all like...
He said he was terribly shocked and terribly saddened or something like that.
I'm of course surprised that the H.G. Wells classic,
very contrite,
had such an immediate and profound effect upon radio listeners.
And very heartfelt. And he is, of course, fully and totally lying, where he's pretending to be shocked and overwhelmed. Now, I think there is a hint of reality in his experience, because I think he is fearing for his career to a certain degree. Yeah. So there's a certain amount of nervousness in that moment that's not Wellesian at all and authentic. But I think the text of what he's saying is all bullshit. In some biographies, there are stories that like once he left that, I think it was in a hotel or something, and got in a cab with one of his colleagues, he immediately started laughing his ass off.
I believe that 1,000%. Yeah. I believe that Orson Welles, after he left that press conference, was like... You remember that scene in Wolf of Wall Street after he's like, okay, sir, gotcha. And he hangs up and goes, fucking idiot.
A fucking idiot.
I believe that Orson Welles, after he left that press conference, was like...
Take it easy, Kev.
Hey, thanks, Jordan. Thanks a lot.
Fuck that motherfucker! Yeah!
he had an unprecedented set of control, amount of control on a very major motion picture from a major studio that had never been done before.
They call him, or some people call him, Martin Scorsese told me this. Martin Scorsese called him the truest auteur in cinema, or at least in American cinema, the truest of the auteurs. Do you agree with that?
I guess at the time that was certainly the case.
You sound like you have a more true auteur than Orson. You want to
Maybe
say.
Chaplin.
There we go.
You could make the argument for Chaplin because he was also like a studio owner for some of his films.
A suit?
So yeah.
in that little suit, he was a little executive with a little mustache. You're all fired. Meet my girlfriend, Lolita.
It's built in. If you want sharp pictures, this has got to be your camera.
I grew up knowing him as like a guy that was always on talk shows.
And Mr. Churchill rose from his chair and bowed.
And did those wine commercials.
We will sell no wine before it's time.
That's what I grew up knowing him as.
What follows is a terrifying journey into the world of magic, mystery.
Mr. Welles, this is a video will.
I had no idea that he was an actor.
10 years. He must be tenacious of life.
That was one of the things that actually got him noticed in theater at the early ages because he had this cherubic child look face and then this, miraculous, deep, resonant voice would come out and it would strike people.
And Zac Efron worked for him.
Yeah, Zac Efron.
And he fell in love with Claire Danes during it. There's that movie.
Yes.
Me and Orson Welles.
Yes.
Edited by Sandra Adair. Sandra Adair edits all of Richard Linklater's movies. Okay, she's nice. I like to shout her.
And he was using his income from radio to help stage some of these different plays because he couldn't necessarily always get funding all the time. And some of the things he wanted to do were pretty radical and transformational. And in addition to everything else that the guy did, he did this crazy prank on the radio that freaked everyone out. He arguably made the greatest film ever made. And he arguably did the greatest stage production in American theater history. His stage adaptation of Julius Caesar was done where all of the characters were, and the set design was evoking Nazi Germany. And this was before America's involvement in the war. And the people who attended the play kind of review it as just this sort of mesmerizing, lifting, terrifying experience. And if we ever get that time travel stuff invented, that'll be one of my first stops. I would love to go see. Yeah, I'm trying.
You seem like you have some inside knowledge about some of this.
I dropped out of physics.
Favorite Orson Welles movie?
Citizen Kane changed my life. It's such a rewatchable film. There's a reason why it topped the Sight and Sound poll decade after decade. It takes you on a journey, and there are so many details packed into every aspect of the frame. You can just look around the edges and even look away from where your main area of focus, and there's going to be interesting things to see.
I appreciate that so much when a director puts that much. He must have worked really hard on that movie. I guess Orson Welles worked hard on Citizen Kane.
You just get swept up, and it's fun, it's escapist, it's funny.
News on the march!
When I watched that opening, I could sense like the Coen brothers, I could sense like Kubrick, I could sense Paul Thomas. I sense all my favorite filmmakers also watching that scene and being like, I want to be like that.
Wait a minute. What were Kane's last words?
I mean, you could sense that. You could sense there's scenes in like the Hudsucker Proxy that are almost identical to like that scene in the newsroom at Citizen Kane, and that's cool. That's awesome. I like that.
No public man whom Kane himself did not support or denounce. Often support, then denounce.
No, that movie came out in 1941.
Yeah.
He was doing Hitler bits. Yeah. When Hitler he was talking about, it was another room. Hitler could have been watching that shit.
Yeah.
It's almost like Orson, stop filming and go kill Hitler or something. Why do so many time travelers have to go back and kill Hitler? If Orson was there, he could have done it, but he didn't.
I just thought I was going to go see another movie with a great reputation and, just have this, one more data point in this ongoing thing. And what happened instead was I walked into the theater one person and I walked out of it a completely different person. I was changed, I was transformed, I was inspired to create things. And You say, what is it about Orson Welles? For me, in that one film, one thing that's readily apparent in that film is there is one vision leading you. It's grabbing you by the collar, and it's like, this is what I want you to see. I want you to go on this very specific experience, and I'm in control of everything that you see and hear. And I was transfixed, and then I immediately had to find out more about this guy.
Your own immortality. Do you have any feelings on that?
No. The less we see of you,
These things would happen where Orson would leave and the studios would just mess with his movies because they were like, we don't like this guy.
Yeah.
He was a pain in their ass. They should have given him, Hollywood should have let him do what he wanted to do. Why wouldn't they?
There's a certain amount of jealousy in it, and the jealousy was on the contractual terms that he was given to make his first film. You know, he'd never made a film before, and he gets the best contract in the history of Hollywood. How's it gonna make everybody out there feel? Then, once he makes the film, he puts the entire studio system at risk. The Hearst publishing empire tried to have the film destroyed, threatened the entire studio heads, got all the studio heads together.
Isn't that more embarrassing for William Randolph Hearst? Isn't that him admitting that this movie is about him? Shouldn't he be like, oh, that sounds like a cool movie. Don't know what that's about. Instead he's like, this is me, that's my house, that's my drunk wife. This guy's talking about my drunk wife at the opera singer or whatever. Yeah. I mean, you know what, I would probably not associate him. I would have not really associated him with Citizen Kane as much as I do, me in 2025.
Yeah.
But now I do, because of his big stink he put up about it. Now I know for a fact, that was you. What's more annoying, if they make a movie about you that's the best movie of all time or the worst movie of all time?
Oh, good question.
If it's a takedown of Milton, it's a life, and where you're like, well, at least it's the best, or like, I guess you want it to be terrible so nobody watches it.
Yeah, I guess me personally, I guess I would probably.
You don't want generations of filmmakers to be like, it's such a great scene where this piece of shit gets killed or something. Yeah, so you probably don't want that to be a reputation. So I guess his anger was a little justified in that maybe, but he was probably a bad guy.
I thought of something interesting.
He made weed illegal with his propaganda. Piece of shit.
Yeah, it's the Citizen Kane of Citizen Kanes.
Actually, I like F for Fake more.
Yes, his world is a world of make-believe.
F for Fake is the Citizen Kane of Orson Welles movies.
According to informed sources, high officials in the Hughes Empire are not even now fully satisfied that the mystery is completely unraveled.
And that's a very solid argument. That one's extraordinarily entertaining.
The super secretive celebrity who went all out for world fame, won it, and then got to be more famous trying for privacy. Maybe he's a loser, after all.
Wow. I mean, that's a little harsh.
A lady from his past once told me that's part of his charm.
A lady from Howard Hughes' past once told you that part of his charm is that he's actually a loser.
Is he winning now? The end of this story.
I mean, I don't know.
Our semi-mythological nightbird of a billionaire's flown his Vegas coop, but only to go on mutely roosting on the top of various other holiday hotels in germ-free, air-conditioned solitude.
Brutal.
Where he can be strident in two different directions, and you never know if he's fucking with you or being on the nose.
So if Kane, Citizen Kane, is number one because it is, what is number two?
I go back and forth on a lot of them, but I kind of go Chimes at Midnight.
Oh, wow.
Oh, plague on all cowards!
Because it is the culmination of his lifelong love of Shakespeare, and he actually started working on this concept of taking bits and pieces of historical Shakespearean plays and re-editing them into a new piece as a teenager. Once he got to the point to where he could play Falstaff, that's what he chose to do.
Is that why he gained all that weight?
Yeah, that's why he did.
He kind of became Falstaffian in his weight. Is that what? Weight is such a journey. That's one of the things about Orson. I just call him Orson now. I like that he would just go on like the talk shows in the 70s and do magic tricks.
Oh yeah.
Have you read this book, My Lunches with Orson? Henry Jaglom, he also, what was he doing? He was recording these lunches with Orson Welles and but not secretly, I hope.
Yeah.
It's interesting to note that Orson Welles is mean to every single person who comes by that table. Everybody who comes by the table to greet him, and they all greet him, like he's there, and people go like, oh my God, like Cary Grant or somebody will come up and be like, huge fan. And I'll be like, thanks. And then they'll leave and they'll be like, what a fucking piece of shit that guy is. And then Henry Jaglom's like, oh, Orson, you can't say that. Is Jaglom British? He's like, oh, I just imagine him. He's like, oh, Orson, you can't say that. He's probably British, or maybe he's not. Orson is a man of very strong opinions, hard opinions, and he's certain about them. He knows he's right, and then like 5 minutes later, he'll say the exact opposite with the exact same amount of authority. But anyway, Orson Welles would be mean about every single person who would come by the table. Elizabeth Taylor and like Richard Grant come by the table, and he just talks absolute shit about them when they're still in like ear distance. They walk away, and he goes like, I fucking hate them. These pieces of shit, dog shit. They suck. And Henry's like, they're still right there. But Orson didn't care. He was a man who had, he was a brilliant guy. He's a really smart guy, but maybe they got in the way of some of his interpersonal interactions with this other celebrities at that restaurant. He wanted to murder John Landis. Do you think he had predicted Max Landis?
Apparently.
Do you think he saw a vision of Max Landis and said, kill John Landis, cannot?
You could put his little goofy ass right there on the Mount Rushmore. Guys who had a little bit too much fun at the 2012 Comic-Con. What's going on?
You see, my son, here time turns into space. The whole landscape becomes indistinct.
Favorite sci-fi movie, real quick.
Oh gosh, Empire Strikes Back. I mean,
other than Star Wars, outside of Star Wars.
Now this is a good question.
Yeah.
But see, then I'll be cliche again. I'll have to go 2001. And 2001 really goes to a lot of the things you were just talking about.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time because it does what I need. It tries to answer the things that are unanswerable, but at least it tries. You know, just try.
A forest ebbs out and a wall of rough rock ebbs in, through which can be seen a gateway. The two men pass through the gateway. What happened to the forest?
You know, I'm sitting around going, what the hell's going on here? What is outer space? What is that shit? Yeah. The moon. It's the moon. I mean, I get annoyed looking at outer space sometimes, so I appreciate sci-fi writers who try to explain this thing to me.
The two men did not really move. They did not go anywhere, and yet they are not now where they originally were.
Because I don't really accept, I need to learn a little bit more about what this planet is. And I need to learn a little bit more about why I'm alive. I'm not exactly satisfied with the no information. They go, it was God. And I go, okay, I need a little bit more. And they go, we don't have any more. You know, I mean, it's a little frustrating.
Here, time turns into space.
The murky history of the CIA from the end of the Second World War to the present day.
We all have grown up as a species and as a society with a certain set of understandings of the world that conform to certain patterns. You know, there are a lot of religions in which there's a God figure, in which, you know, we are created by this God figure, and, you know, we're in service of some sort of a plane of existence or something, and there may be another plane that we ascend to after death. And that sort of framework has permeated culture, and it's the dominant storytelling, fundamental underlying premise of every story, or most every story, for the history of storytelling. And now we're finally getting stories that grapple on a philosophical and emotional level, like, well, wait a minute. If there are infinite me's, if there's infinite you's, what is the point of this version of me?
And what horrible things are happening to other versions of me at this exact moment? If everything's happening to me right now, then there's a lot of bad things that could be happening to a person. I'm worried about those me's. No, I gotta worry about those me's. There's a version of me right now who's getting the shit beaten out of him by you.
Of course.
Why are you doing it?
The math says, and
I know I'm getting a little pissed off though.
There's an equal number of me's getting beaten the shit out by you though.
I refuse to believe a Sam on any universe would ever harm. What? Can you please, as a comic book author, explain the multiverse to me? I don't understand it at all.
From a narrative point of view or a physics point of view?
Oh, okay. So is it a place you could go to, or is it like there's infinite me?
There's infinite everything. Yes.
Where?
So basically it's in a chalkboard on some physics professor's set of equations, and we don't understand quantum physics, and so I think it's called the Everett interpretation, that the way that they make the math work out is that, you know, every possible event, it can simultaneously occur in multiple ways, so therefore every possible interaction of every particle that's ever happened can split into every imaginable combination.
This is that thing where you put an apple in a box and you leave it in the box for eternity and it turns into everything that's ever been made.
Schrodinger's apple. There we go.
I don't know if I believe that. I don't think the apple would be like, now I'm Homer Simpson. The apple knows to turn into Homer in all the different versions of Homer. I don't think it would turn it. See, I don't think an infinity knows could do that. I love Philip K. Dick. Are you a guy?
Oh, I love Philip K. Dick. I should have included him in the list.
He to me is one of my faves, just because there is this neuroses that goes through it, this like comedic, neurotic kind of nature about society. Sort of similar, like talking to Orson Welles, like Kafka, The Trial, where like things are just constantly up against you, and all of society is sort of like being an asshole to you specifically. Milton, where are you from?
You know what? It's a very simple question, but I have a hard time answering it because I've lived in every state below the Mason-Dixon line.
Where is that? What is the Mason-Dixon line?
It's something I learned in school and can't really remember.
What was the best place you lived?
Ooh, the best place I lived?
Favorite?
Probably Houston, Texas.
Hell yeah. Home of the 2017 champs, the Houston Astros. 2017, we still rep it. Does that one count? The garbage cans?
I think it counts, but if there's a fan of the Dodgers that wants to get in my face and say it doesn't count, I'll say, you know what? Fair point.
I want to say something to that fan of the Dodgers who just got into your face. Hey, get the hell out of Milton's face. Milton Lawson, you're from... So wait, did we land on where you're from?
I was born in Key West, Florida.
Okay.
I maybe have 2 memories from that as an infant.
What were your baby memories of Florida?
Being strolled by the ocean. It may be a false memory, but I still cling to it.
Go on.
And then I've got a memory of being in someone's house and they had a seahorse. Look, and it was floating in the water, and I was fascinated by that. And that's kind of weird and random for my first 2 memories.
Those are good.
That's what I've got.
Those are good memories.
That's what I got.
Hey, it's in Florida. The memories could have been worse.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
It's Florida. They could have been just terrible. Thank you so much for being here. This was so cool. I really do appreciate it. Orson Welles, Warrior of the Worlds. Warrior of the Worlds. And the premise here, this is a universe solar... wait, you explain it. What is this?
So I would say that this is how I normally pitch it. Orson Welles' Warrior of the Worlds has the premise that asks, what if the original War of the Worlds radio dramatization, what if it wasn't a radio dramatization? What if it was real? What if Orson was narrating events that he was witnessing on the radio live in real time? And if it was real, what happens next is he creates a secret agency to protect Earth from aliens.
This is a time-traveling sci-fi adventure. I love that.
I went to see Citizen Kane at a retrospective screening at the River Oaks in Houston.
I thought you were going to say, like Star Wars, you saw it in the theater. And I was like, he's a time traveler. Time traveler reveal. Are you a time traveler?
Not yet.
Am I a time traveler? And now I'm going to edit something where I travel through time. I do a lot of the dumb editing. Hi, I'm traveling through time now. Oh, I'm back from time, and I have all these trinkets with me. Thank you for being an amazing sci-fi writer, creative, amazing, brilliant. You are very nice to share your gift with the world. Oh, and the ceremonial hat we present to you. Oh, yes. Yeah, so you could walk around and let people know that you also don't understand.
I do not understand. This is true.
Oh, hell yeah.
There are so many things I do not understand.
It's so real, right, man? I don't understand.
All right, I also want, there's got to be like, translate this into Latin. I want the Latin version of this as well. Or maybe Greek, whichever one sounds cooler.
I don't speak any other languages except for the language of cinema. And thank you so much for being a writer of... Fuck. You're a great
writer of fuck, yeah.
Orson Welles, Warrior of the Worlds. Where can you get it?
OrsonWellesComic.com. You'll be able to go to a web store and purchase it right there.
In this amazing game, I had to find 3 keys, lay siege to the tower, and defeat the enemy within. Each move was a challenge. The computer kept track, giving me secret information, pictures, sounds, surprises. Then, ahead of my opponent, I made my move. The battle was joined, and I was victorious.
It is not fiction, it is history. And history seldom accommodates us with a happy ending.
This is Orson Welles, ladies and gentlemen. Out of character, to assure you that the War of the Worlds has no further significance than as the holiday offering it was intended to be. The Mercury Theater's own radio version of dressing up in a sheet and jumping out of a bush and saying boo.